Hello, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today I'm going to present you the new iPhone case by Sandmarc to put with their lens on my iPhone 11 Pro Max. It exists for different kind of iPhone, but I'm going to show you the one I have for the 11 Pro Max, and I will also show you the lenses by Sandmarc I do have, so you can have an idea of what it can do, so you don't have to jump to all the video I made already before, but you've got a recap of what it does. So let's start. First, a small disclaimer, I'm not getting paid to do this review, but Sandmarc did send me for free this case for my 11 Pro Max. I am already a client of Sandmarc because I did buy my first 3 lenses and filter set from them. And then they sent me more gear like the anamorphic lens and some the ND hybrid filters, polarizer and ND filters. They send it for free so I could test them, but they don't tell me what I have to do. I just say exactly what I want. Actually, when I spoke about the filter, I stressed some things that were not too good and they actually worked on them. I don't say it was thanks to me because other reviewer probably told them and some clients, but I think they're really an honest company, and I will tell whatever I find good or bad about this case and about the lens set, okay? So that was the disclaimer. Sandmarc has 5 lenses. I've got 4. I've got the macro, it's in the bag. Here, all lenses, they come with a small bag and a small microfiber cloth. But the bag is also microfiber, so you can actually use it to clean the lens. Obviously, make sure that the bag is clean first. Then I've got the wide angle lens, the Tele lens, and the anamorphic lens, which is thought for cine. They all come with a small cap on the back, small cap on the front, and I think this is really important, especially they all come, I mean, every brand that makes lenses, they normally come with the front cap, but not the back one. I think the back one is really important because the lens is really deep in there, so if you add some dust in there to clean it, it's not that easy. So I think it's really good to protect the lens on both sides. I don't understand why some people actually charge for the extra cap. So here it's all included. And when you get your lenses, you have to tell which iPhone you're using, because they will include a case with the lens. If you buy 3 lenses, you get 3 cases, okay? So it's important to indicate which iPhone you use. The lenses are exactly the same, but the cases are different. If you are not using an iPhone or you've forgotten your case at home, you can actually clip the lens. You screw the lens here, and you actually clip it where you want on the camera you want on your telephone, your smartphone, whether it's iPhone or any Android or anything. And there's also another clip. As you can see, it's a lot wider. If you don't want to use a lens and just the filters, you can actually use this clip, put the filter on it, and as you can see, it actually covers all 3 cameras. So you can actually use just filters, the filters by Sandmarc. I'll give you a link here, and you can use it. So the big question everyone is asking is, why do I need lenses when I bought this iPhone? It's supposed to do everything. And you're right, that's a really good question, but I'm going to tell you why you still need extra lenses if you want, but it's recommendable to use these lenses in some situation. First, there are 3 lenses here on the iPhone. As you can see, there is a screw mount with this case just on the Tele lens, Tele camera, and the wide camera, but not on the ultra-wide. Why not on the ultra-wide? Basically because it's so ultra-wide that even sometimes you put your finger here, you actually see your fingers in the shot. So they cannot mount anything. It's not Sandmarc's fault, it's the way it's thought. So there are screw mounts just on these 2, wide and Tele. So these 3 cameras are the following ones. You have the ultra-wide, that is the equivalent of 120 degrees, 13 millimeters equivalent full frame. It opens at 2.4, and this is a 12 megapixel camera. Then you have the wide angle one. This is equivalent of 26 millimeter full frame. It has a camera that is 12 megapixels, and it opens at f1.8. But you also have access to stabilization, the iPhone stabilization. Also, it lets you use the night mode and also the deep fusion, that in some situation it helps getting more details in your pictures. Then you have the Tele lens, which is equivalent of 52 millimeters. It opens at f2, and you also have access to stabilization, deep fusion, and night mode. So you think what everyone is thinking, the wide lens is the best lens. Why? Because you have a better aperture, 1.8. Then you have access to stabilization, deep fusion, and night mode. So it is interesting to mount some lenses on this wide lens. So the 5 lenses by Sandmarc are the following ones. The macro one, which is like 10 times. I'll show you a sample right now. Okay, this is the macro lens. You have to put it on your Tele camera, Tele lens camera of your iPhone. Obviously, if you use a different smartphone, you can use the clip and put it on any lens, but normally you put on the Tele lens. If you have just one lens, obviously you put it on the only camera you have there. There's a small transparent, translucid dome. You put it on it, so it's going to put uneven light. And when you place the camera, you have to put it really close to the subject, to the object you're doing. And the problem that it's windy, so when you are so close, any movement forward or backward will get you out of focus or in focus, so front focus, back focus, so it's a bit crazy to get it right. This is not the fault of the lens, this is actually the way smartphones are working, but also if you were using a normal camera, if the distance between your object and the lens is moving a slight bit when you're so close, you would get out of focus the same way, you know. So it's important that if it's windy like this, it's a bit of a problem, but when you can, get a small tripod to get your phone on and just move the object yourself exactly to the right place. So it all depends kind of macro photography you're doing, but it works really well when you get really nice shot, one nice close-up. It magnifies 10 times and the results are there. So I think without this on an iPhone you do not get any macro shot this way. So I think it's a good lens to have. Then the fisheye, 210 degrees. It means that if you put the phone close to you, you actually see your feet and your head. So you have to put a bit out and don't try not to put your fingers on the side of this, okay? I've not tried it. Hello Sandmarc, I would love to try and review this lens. I'm not a fan of fisheye, but I've seen some samples and it gives like, yeah, I'd like to try it, okay? Then you have the wide angle lens. So the wide angle lens, you mount it on the wide angle of your iPhone, okay? In this case, you get the equivalent of 16 millimeters and 110 degrees. And you can also mount the filters by Sandmarc, but also a step-up ring, 40.5 millimeters. So you can actually put the filter you use with your camera or any other larger filter you have, you can actually mount them on this using a step-up ring. So the question is, why should I use a lens that gives me 110 degrees when the ultrawide on the iPhone gives me 120? Why should I lose 10 degrees? Well, the reason is simple. If you deadly need these 10 degrees, well, obviously you have to use the ultrawide. But if you can live without these 10 degrees, you have access to a better camera. You can get the diffusion, you can get the stabilization, and you can get the night mode. And this is something that completely lacks on the ultrawide. Actually, many people are claiming to have this on the ultrawide, and iPhone doesn't seem to be too keen on this. For some reason, we ignore completely. This is really wise to use this Sandmarc wide lens on your wide camera on your iPhone and get almost the angle the ultrawide gives you, but a lot better lighting, more luminous, and also more features like what I said just before. Now I'm going to do a demo for you of the difference between the ultrawide of the iPhone compared to the wide angle, Sandmarc wide angle mounted on the wide angle of the iPhone. So first I'm going to record with the ultrawide. Right now I'm recording with the ultrawide, no lens on, directly the iPhone in ultrawide mode in Filmic Pro. Now I've mounted the wide angle by Sandmarc on the wide angle lens camera of the iPhone, so you can actually compare with the ultrawide. As you can see, it's a bit more narrow, but you get this is the aspect you get, so you can have an idea, okay? And then you have the Tele lens. They gives you like time 2, which is the equivalent of 60 millimeters more or less. If you mount it on the wide lens, it gives you about 48 degrees. So actually the Tele lens, you can mount it on both cameras. If you want any lens, you can mount on any of these 2 cameras, but the logical thing is to use it on the wide lens In this case, you get the equivalent of almost 60 millimeters, well, actually 58. And you get the more luminous camera from your iPhone, or you can decide to put it on the tele lens. So in this case, you get the equivalent of 104 millimeter, which is a really great focal length for portraits. So it all depends what you're going to do. But you have this possibility, and this is optical. This is not a digital zoom. You actually get optical quality. So this is really a good solution to use this lens. Now I'm doing a demo with the tele lens, the native tele lens of the iPhone tele camera, so you have an idea of the coverage. Now I'm showing you the tele lens mounted on the wide angle lens of my iPhone. So it gives you the equivalent of 26x2 58 millimeter. To give you an idea, the good thing, I get the widest aperture, 1.8 instead of the f2 of the tele lens. Now I'm going to mount the tele lens on the tele of the iPhone so we can have a look at it. Right now I've put the tele lens, Sandmarc tele lens on the iPhone tele lens camera. So it gives you like the equivalent of 104 millimeters to give you an idea of what you get. So I think it's fantastic that on a telephone you can actually get a bit more than 100 millimeter. Not just for portrait, but for close-up take of something a bit further. I'm doing video because you see it in real time, but I could actually do photography. And then you have the anamorphic lens, and the anamorphic lens, I made a review of this. It covers 113 degrees, and it gives you this cine look. So the good thing about it is that it doesn't, you don't lose resolution, because it actually squeezes the image, and then you de-squeeze in the software, whether using Filmic Pro or in your directly in your Adobe Premiere or Final Cut 10 Pro or whatever. You use this to de-squeeze, but this way you get the full resolution of your sensor, and then you've got this cine look without fainting it using this black bar. You actually get it straight in a landscape way, really wide. It's okay. Now I'm going to show you the anamorphic lens. As you can see, the small white mark here, and also a small mark on the case. You need to align both. As any anamorphic, it needs to be leveled to work properly. So I mounted it. You must mount it on the wide angle, but you could actually mount it on the tele lens if you want to have the anamorphic look without because of the flare or whatever. It would be possible on the tele lens also, but doesn't sound too logical, but it's possible also. When you use the app, I'm using Filmic Pro right now, I go to the option to indicate this is an anamorphic lens, okay? So now I start recording, so you can have an idea. So I'm starting to record, and I'm going to go up to the sun so you have a look at the anamorphic flare. As you can see, you see the typical anamorphic flare here that appears across. Obviously on any anamorphic lens it has to be leveled, otherwise it will be on the side, okay? So when you actually use an anamorphic lens, whether it's a camera or whatever, you need to be completely horizontal, otherwise the flare will be sideways. So it is important that you normally use a gimbal for that. So I'll tell you more about the gimbal. All these three last lenses, the wide, the tele and the anamorphic, is compatible with the filters by Sandmarc, and also step-up ring to use any other filters. Actually, there's a great little kit I reviewed, which is the hybrid. I'll leave you the link. Well, this is hybrid filters, which is polarizer and also ND filters. This is great for video, so you can actually use it perfectly on this. Many people, when they're doing video, they want to use actually a gimbal. So this is the DJI Osmo Mobile 3. And the problem when you put that kind of lenses on your iPhone is going to be hard to balance. But the good thing is it can be solved on AliExpress for 10 euros, here on Amazon. Here you've got counterweight, and here on this gimbal you have a small screw, so you can actually mount the counterweights, okay? And you actually have three of them, so you put the one you actually need to balance properly your gimbal, okay? But with this, you can mount any of these Sandmarc lenses and it will go fine. I've not done a review yet of this gimbal, but we'll do soon, okay? But I think this is the ideal combination, your iPhone, this gimbal and the Sandmarc lenses. So what are the pros and the cons of this system? Well, the pros are clear. You can actually get the best of your iPhone using the wide lens in most situations, whether you set the anamorphic lens, the wide angle or the tele lens, you get the best of your iPhone optically without any software to actually make a zoom or zoom out, zoom in. It's made. You have optical quality. So I think this is a great solution. The build of these lenses is great. I mean, very often people tell me, yeah, but I've seen some other lenses and they seem cheaper on eBay or whatever. Yes, there are many other options. Well, anamorphic is more limited, but when I speak about wide angle tele lens, there are other brands. Some are more expensive or a lot more expensive, and some are cheaper. But you must see the build, and not just the build, also the optical quality. You're paying a lot, a premium price for an iPhone with good quality cameras, and you're going to put a bad optical lens. This is nonsense. You should put the best you can. So these lenses, I think they have the best ratio quality price. There are some more expensive ones that are maybe similar, but are more expensive, and these ones are really great for the price they have. And don't forget that when you actually buy your lens, it includes the phone case. So if you buy the phone case separately, it's 30 euros, $30. So I think it's worth it, because normally you buy the lens and you have to buy a case separately. Obviously, if you already have the lenses because you had it from another iPhone before, well, you don't want, you just have to buy a new case. But in the situation you just want to buy your first lens, you're ready to shoot, ready to go, because it includes the case and also the clips. So if you want to mount without case, you can. In other brand, you actually have to buy the case separately, and they cost about this, about 30 euros, $30. So it's like a nice gift that includes with the lens. The fact that you can use step-up ring, I think it's good, because you can, I mean, ND filters are expensive, so if you already have some ND filters and you don't want to buy the specific one by Sandmarc, well, you can actually use your filters with the step-up ring, so I think it's a good point. I was really disappointed when I reviewed the anamorphic lens, because when I put the filters on it, I get some vignetting. I think Sandmarc has been really honest, because they do write it on the website. They say it vignettes with the anamorphic. But it vignettes really little. So I thought, my first reaction was, well, it vignettes a lot. It's not true, it vignettes a little. So you can actually crop a bit when you edit your video, and that's fine, that's no problem. And the thing, it vignettes, but it's not the fault of Sandmarc actually. This is because of the iPhone stabilization. When you put your telephone on a tripod, the stabilization does not kick in, and then you don't actually any vignette, you don't see any vignetting. But when you start moving that, then you see it. So if it was possible to deactivate the stabilization of the iPhone, there would be no problem, but it's not possible. So I wish the iPhone gave that possibility, because when you actually use a gimbal, probably you don't want the stabilization either, you don't need it. So I think it would be a good point to be able to deactivate, so there would be no vignetting anymore. I hope some I hope Apple gives this possibility to deactivate this stabilization one day. So last but not least, the case itself, because we all came here for the case. So honestly, the case is great. I think it's really stiff. Why? Because people will say, oh, why is it so stiff? Because actually the lens must not move. It must be placed properly. This is a metal here and then plastic here, really tough plastic. So it's important that it doesn't move. Why? Because otherwise you would get maybe some vignetting or out of focus, so it has to be stiff. The only thing I think they could better, I think the border should be higher here, so you can actually use it on a daily basis telephone case, smartphone case, because it would be more protected. I think this is a case I just put it when I'm going to do pictures or video, otherwise I don't use this case. So I think if it was a bit higher, it would be better. And I think they should get out some more models, more different colors or different texture or whatever, because I think some people would like to have to use it full time, and so a bit better protection, and also a bit better different options. Okay, I think that would be a good point. So what do I think about this kit altogether? Well, I think I already said it, but I think anyone who wants to get seriously into smartphone photography, iPhone photography and videography, I think it's great, because it doesn't take much space. Some people will say, yeah, but if you add up the price of an iPhone and lenses, all this, it's cheaper to get a camera. Well, it depends which camera, that's first thing. A proper 4K video camera is not that cheap, but when you're driving, you can have you can actually have your lenses in your car under the seat or whatever, a bit hidden or whatever, and you go out just with your phone. And if you had your camera, maybe you would not leave it back in your car. You had to carry it all the time. So I think it's a good option. And also, if you're getting just 1 or 2 lenses, you get them with you in your pockets, and you go around. So it's really light system. I think it's a great option, honestly. When I was in New York City, I actually started with my Olympus, and then I ended up using only my iPhone. At that time, it was a XS Max, and I think it was a lot more practical. I'm really happy with the result. I'll give you a link here of the video when I explain why I actually changed, okay? Instead of my camera to bring this. And I use an Olympus OMD EM5 Mark II, so it's not that heavy anyway, but still I prefer to carry around my iPhone. So if you're into video or photography, which lens should you get? I think it's very important to get the wide angle lens. I think this is the lens you need to have. And then probably if you do cine, also get the anamorphic lens, probably. If you do photo, I would add the Tele and maybe the macro. If you can, buy all of them. But if you don't want to buy everything at the first place, start with the wide lens and then you start adding up the rest. I think you will love them, honestly. Well, that's it. For the information, this time I was actually showing my iPhone, so I could not record with it. So it's recorded with my Olympus OMD EM5 Mark II. I've put a 3-stop ND filter to be able to have the right shutter speed. That's it for the technical information if you were interested. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you think it may help any other people, please share it on social networks. Thank you, Sandmarc, for sending me the case. If you have not done yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a small button down here and also a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, you can leave a comment below. Send me an email to info@ericgibaud.com. And below also put links of my gear on Amazon, also links to other parts of my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Bye.